A very good evening, everyone. Welcome again to our next series of the Enterprise Wednesday. And today we have a very dynamic entrepreneur, well known in the technology scene. Before that, I would like to. My name is Dash. I'm the entrepreneur in residence at Asia Pacific University. Would like to introduce Professor Dr. Vinesh, our Deputy Vice Chancellor of Asia Pacific University. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you, Dash, and welcome everyone to this Wednesday evening routine bi-weekly Enterprise Wednesday session. We have defined it as the Fire Chat, and this evening we have a wonderful and speaker who comes with a passion for entrepreneurship and has got a very good history behind some of his successes. So welcome on board, Encik Reza Razali here, and thank you for spending your time this evening with our students and also staff members in sharing some of your insights to some of the experiences you faced in getting to where you are today. And I think it's going to be a fantastic session because you're correlating it to the current situation of the pandemic as well. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Dash. Week in, week out, he's as an EIR, our entrepreneur in residence. He has managed to bring in all these wonderful speakers to share their insights. I also like to thank the Project Enterprise team, which is a team of academic lecturers that are working behind the scenes on getting Project Enterprise to where it should be in terms of goals we want to achieve for 2021. Yeah, so over back to you, Dash, and once again, also I want to thank in advance Encik Reza for your time this evening. Thank you.
No problem, enjoy it.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, everyone for logging in and being with us this evening on a Wednesday for Enterprise Wednesday. Enterprise Wednesday is part of a larger project called Enterprise at APU. The aim of Enterprise at APU is to create anti-fragile young entrepreneurs or graduates to create meaningful and sustainable startups for those of you who want to launch your ventures, as well as to get everyone else to become entrepreneurial. We believe that everyone should be entrepreneurial, but not necessarily everyone would start companies. So today we have Reza Razali, someone I've known from the industry for the longest time. Reza, welcome. I would like you to know that this is going to be watched by the students, not only by the students of Asia Pacific University, but everyone at large. But APU students will keep watching it because they will use it as part of their reflection journal, and they will use it for their assignments to write. So when we bring in the entrepreneurs to share their experience, they are actually, it is like sensitizing them to what's out there. I like the topic today. Tenacity amidst chaos. I love it. You know, the entrepreneur versus the pandemic. Reza, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about Terato Tech, how you got to where you are today, and let's roll. You are muted, bro.
Okay, thank you, Dash, for having me today. Thank you, APU. So if I were to just share my journey of entrepreneurship, I've been doing it for quite a while, right? I've not reflected, but when Dash asked me to talk about the topic of tenacity amidst the chaos, I just realized that I've actually been doing business since a very early age. I started in 1992 when I first started to sell sausage buns, chocolate buns, and then biscuit raya that my mom were making. And I started that in 1992 when I was in standard 2. And then the journey continued throughout primary and secondary school. And in basically 2000, what happened was I won the APITA award for best of student project. So that became my platform. Yeah, that became my platform for. I won the best, both the APITA for Malaysia and APITA for South Asia for best of student project. So that became my launching pad to the journey in tech. So after that, of course, after SPM, I went and study a twinning program. About was supposed to be about 3 years in Malaysia, another 1 year in the US. But of course, I play quite a bit, so it took me about 4.5 years to complete the degree. And after that, I worked in the US for a while, and then the recession happened, and I came back to Malaysia in 2008, and then I because I had to came back, right, because the Great Recession, because of the subprime crisis happened. So because you are because they had to, because you are basically a foreigner there in when I was in the
Yeah.
US, so I had to be the first to leave. So I had to come back. I had to come back to Malaysia. But back then in 2008, the the first iPhone was first released in 2007.
Mm.
So just 1 year after the iPhone was released, I decided to build a company that focused on the iPhone economy. That was the tagline then. Yeah, and
Wow.
since then, my journey, the last 13, 14 years has been amazing. I've been always intact for the last 13, 14 years. There's been a lot of ups and downs, just like the price of Bitcoin, but it's been an amazing journey for me so far.
Reza, you said you came back, you were in the US, there was the subprime, because of the subprime crisis in 2008, everything,
Mhm.
everyone, the whole, there was, the economy was collapsing. We nearly went into a depression at that time. How was
Mhm.
it in the US? How was the mood among entrepreneurs in the US we're talking about tenacity amidst chaos? How was the mood at that time among the entrepreneurs?
I don't think the mood was great, right? When I graduated in '06, '07, there was no such thing as even a lot of the Asian graduates, none of us were flocking to go to Silicon Valley, right? They were
Mhm.
none of this. Facebook just started, right? And then if you were to look at a lot of the great company we know now, the what you say the Grab, not in the US, the Uber in the US, the Airbnb, even the WhatsApp, the Instagram, all that's what was started after the Great Recession, right? So in between 2005, 2010, during the Great Recession, after the dot-com bust, and then you had the Great Depression. So people were not actually flocking to Silicon Valley to do things, right? So that's why even for me, I work in the US, but I work in Oklahoma City. I work with Dell over there. So the thought never crossed my mind to go into and set up something in Silicon Valley, although I had the opportunity, because the industry were not the hype wasn't there back then. So only after the recession, after the crisis happened, then you see a lot of great innovation happening in the industry. So yeah, so that was what I uncovered, right? and and for me, where the opportunity was, although I had to come back to Malaysia, I tried to look for jobs, right? So I came back. I sent my resume to all the company. I did get some interview with Shell, and then I didn't get any call for interview with Petronas, IBM, Microsoft. That did not happen. So I basically had no option, right? I couldn't get the job I wanted. I was working at some local tech company. I was paid about 2,000 ringgit back then. So basically I had no other option. So if I want to make more money, I had to run my own business, or else, because I couldn't get any corporate jobs. There were no available jobs even at a lot of MNCs back then. 07, '08. Time was just really bad. So that was the reason I realized that my calling is in entrepreneurship, because I had no other option back then.
I want to push back on a little bit about the US and Silicon Valley. As you know, I spent quite a bit of time there in the
Mhm.
valley, and I found that the entrepreneurs and you said all the big tech companies started just after the crisis or just before around that time, right? I
Mhm.
find that the entrepreneurs they seem to be crisis agnostic. but even when during the crisis the energy is there, though we don't flock there because we may not be able to raise money, but I
Mhm.
find that the tech entrepreneurs are always like, trying to find newer opportunities amidst chaos, to look for ways to go. That is why there's the birth of new companies happen as soon as there is an uptake in the economy. They're all working on stealth mode. Did you notice that as well? And did you notice that about yourself now that you see that same thing is happening? That you are agnostic with a crisis. You are still working hard. Maybe you're working
Mhm.
harder.
Mhm. Of course, I think that that's definitely spot on, Dash.
You,
What I
you're
would also
definitely
like.
we are actually in a chaos. We are talking amidst chaos among the kids. Your kids are creating a chaos in the back.
Correct, correct. Yeah, yeah. That's why among the kids these days, they definitely have it tougher than our subprime crisis of 08 or 97 that you might have
Yeah.
faced, right? Definitely a lot tougher for them now.
Yeah. No,
But
no, I'm
of
saying
course,
your children at the back end are creating some chaos. I can see all of them are fighting or whatever.
correct, correct,
I can
correct.
hear
Yeah,
them.
that's
Yeah,
spot.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
on, go on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so what happened was I also realized, right? I think you got it really spot on. When there's chaos, of course, there's also what we say uh, opportunities, right?
Yeah.
So for example, when I just wanted to start, I saw there was I met this local inventor lah, one popular guy in Rawang. His name
Mm-hmm.
Dukifle Harun. He
Mm-hmm.
a wacky local inventor lah.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad was a friend of his, and then he brought me to see this guy, and then he was asking, "What do you want to do?" I said, maybe I go into business. And then he responded, yeah, now is the best time to go into business because the large companies, what they will do in time like this is they will reserve all their resources. They will not go and innovate. They will not go invent new businesses. They will just reserve their cash to face this tough time. So this is actually the best time for entrepreneurs to go in and do a business. I think that was right lah. So the 2008, the crisis was actually the best time to go into doing business.
Reza, there is a saying that no, there is a saying that no masterpiece is drawn on an infinite canvas. That
Mhm.
means there is no great art is done on an infinite. It's all done in a constraint, right? Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, I'm
Everyone
sorry.
okay?
I'm sorry. Yeah, what was saying?
No, I said there is a saying that no masterpiece is drawn in an infinite canvas. That means all entrepreneurs or great people actually work and innovate during times of constraints like this. So, this is
Mhm.
times of crisis is actually a fertile ground for innovation.
Correct,
What do you
definitely.
what do
This
you what do you say about that?
I totally agree. This is the time where, as I said, right, the larger companies, your larger competitor, the larger corporate, they will not go and invent and invest in groundbreaking technology during this time. So this is definitely the best time for one to start and do things because especially if you were to look about 10 years ago you wanted to build a tech, you need to know your server programming, you need to possibly set up your own server. AWS was even very very what you say very very difficult to use compared to what it is right now. Right now you wanted to start something, you can spin a cloud within minutes, right? So of course the playing ground for a lot of startups and a lot of corporate it has been level now, right? Now it's about you having the best idea and able to execute them quicker than the corporate, because even at corporate level they have various bureaucracy that slow things down, but you as an entrepreneur you'll be able to just do and execute things your way without worrying about whoever need to give his approval or things like that. So yeah, so I think you got it spot on. This is actually albeit the chaos is actually a best time to find opportunities.
So Reza, you're back in Malaysia, 2008. You came back, launched. I think it was Teratotech you launched.
Correct. Yeah, we started Teratotech,
Okay.
a mobile. Mobile
Uh, uh,
development house.
for the iPhone economy, as you call it.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
have. I think that's such a nice way of putting it. Tell us about that journey. How did you identify that as a problem?
Hmm.
When during 2008 and all that, when you came, the economy was here also wasn't great.
Hmm.
There was also slowing down, and you came back and launched. Tell us about that particular journey. How that happened, and how did you get to Slurp?
Sure. So in 2007, I was working at local software integrator. And then the iPhone was released in '07, and then there was this basically what you say, this MDEC has this pre-seed fund program, right? So they were giving away
Yeah,
150,000 back then.
yeah,
There were quite a bit of that. So I applied, I got it, and I was able to leave my job. And the idea was because of course, right, you have the a guy, you have the iPhone was launched, when because the iPhone was based on a was written on Objective C, a kernel of Unix. So basically, they the just weeks after the iPhone was released, there has been a lot of jailbroken application that was running on the iPhone, right?
yes,
There was no
yes,
official app store yet.
yes,
So I knew a guy who developed the first Holy Quran application on the iPhone, a Singaporean guy.
yes, yes,
So I had a chat with him, and he was telling me that this is going to be a big thing. This tablet, I don't know, the tablet was basically then this iPhone is going to be a big thing because you compare to what you have then the BlackBerry, the iPhone is easily 100x improvement compared to the BlackBerry, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
it just needed an app store, and this guy was already developing apps for the iPhone just a few weeks after it was released. So I got excited. And I was looking for developers back then. And just and when I was looking for developers, I posted on in the forum lawyat.net, and then a guy responded, say that yeah, I've developed some apps on the iPhone. We can go and meet up. So I go and meet up somewhere near APU. In that period, there was a McDonald there.
Did
So
you
when
say
I see this
APU?
guy, yeah, near Apit lah, Apit.
Happy, yes,
Near Apit,
okay.
right? So I met this
Welcome to
guy,
our pit,
my
yes.
yeah, 17 years old guy, just finished
Mm,
APM, and then he showed me that I did develop some apps. What some of my app has about 500,000 downloads back then. Well, it was doing quite well.
mm,
So not seeing her resume, just liking what he did, I told the guy, "You come and work for me. I give you 4,000 ringgit a month." I know
mm.
I did not know that he just finished his SPM, right? And I said, "Okay,
Sure.
all right, yeah." But I'm studying right now. He's an UPIT student. Then can I come to
Upbeat
the office
student,
after
yes.
class? Yeah,
Look at it. Only upbeat
yeah,
students can do this, can
yeah.
do apps, you see.
Yeah.
Okay,
So he
okay,
said,
go on.
okay, he will work. He will come over for about 3 days a week, and that was
Mm,
the boost we need lah. I think we had the idea, but then we were able to find the right guy that's able to provide us with the tech brain power in the company, and that was it lah. And we were did quite well in '08, '09. I think by 2009 we hit 1 million revenue and we a few million so revenue by 2010. So we were doing quite well for a few years, right? Because we were the pioneer in developing application. But of course, being a pioneer, you became cocky, you became overconfident. So after quite a while in 2015, 2017, things were not doing too well. So I think our business went down. We peaked at about close to 5 million revenue back then. And then the numbers just went down because we were not innovating, right? So after that, what happened was the guy that I met in McDonald in that period, Calvin, came out with this thing. He said that what if we can put every iPad on the table at restaurant? So that became Slurp lah. So Calvin is now my co-founder at Slurp, my CTO.
This is a guy
We
from
still,
Upbeat.
yeah, the guy from Apit.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, yeah. So we've been doing stuff together for about 13 years now. So he's the CTO of Slurp, and And it started as a skunk word that he built in 2014, 2015. I think we released the app in 2015. And since then, Slurp this year, we've managed to bounce back lah. After managed to make 5 million ringgit with Terato back in 2015. We bounced back with Slurp this year. At Slurp, we will be making about 10 million in revenue lah. So that was our journey lah. It has its ups and downs, but interesting as well. Kelvin being a very smart guy, I think in 2009, he was even telling me that, hey, there's this thing called Bitcoin. We should look at it, right? But I told him, this is just another of your stupid hunch lah. So yeah, I regretted that quite a bit. So whatever an upbeat guy tell you, you should explore and then look at the detail. Yeah.
Okay, this is marketing for Arpit, is it? Okay. No, but I'm very interested, because even if the students are listening, to say that, to come up and, if you are developing something, look at where Kelvin has come to.
Kelvin.
So Kelvin is I thought you also code. You're a computer science graduate, right? No? Do you code and do you do this? Okay, so you're Go on.
I started coding early. I started coding very early. I started coding when I was 7. I was fairly good back then. But then when I started Terato, I wanted someone who could get us up to speed very quickly, right? And we were able to find Kelvin lah. And he's easily 1,000 times better programmer than I did. So yeah. So after that, we were able to bring in a lot of A player into the team. So I do not have a need to code anymore since then lah.
Okay, and so you do mostly business development and the other strategic stuff, and Kelvin does all the technology stuff lah.
Correct, yeah.
I want to go back a bit more to the time you started. You came back and put together, and you got your 150,000 from MDAC. What was it? What was it that MDAC saw in your proposal, and for them to bank on you? Because at that time you didn't have a track record in Malaysia building companies yet, right?
I do not.
Or did you?
I think I did already, right? I won the APITA award in
That's
2000,
right.
2000,
That's MDAC
so,
award as well, right? It's part of MDAC thing.
Yeah, so I had the credential, but then it wasn't easy as well. It took us about 3 submission lah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to submit about 3 times before we got the funding. It wasn't easy lah. So of course we said want to go and build stuff on iPhone. No one would believe you then, right? Even back then, Apple stock is only $10. Now it's 140 after stock split 3 times, right?
Did you buy? Did you buy when it was 10?
I did not. I bought when I was in college in the US. I sold off when it was $15. And then I only bought back, I think, about 2017. Yeah. So I bought back later lah. But that's actually another way to make money, right? In tech, sometimes you don't have to run businesses. There's other people business that you can invest in and make money as well.
That's right. Right. Yeah. So what do you have to say for people who, you see, you're lucky that MDAC saw the talent in you, saw the resilient entrepreneur in you and gave it to you. But what would you have done if you didn't get the initial boost of 150,000? There are a lot of entrepreneurs out there who are missed by these opportunity, by this. They don't get it, So what happens? What do you have to say?
From our end, I don't think it would have been much of a problem, because after
you would have gone ahead and started lah.
Yeah, because after I left the company, we already started to build websites lah back then, right? You get a lot of back then 2007, 2008, you can build website for government agency. They pay you 50,000 for it. So there was a lot of such opportunity back then. So that was how I got our kickstart lah. Even in our first year, we made about 500,000 revenue in 2008. So that was we were profitable, make 500,000, and then there's 150,000 grant. So yeah, it was a good time to start back then. It was easier.
Okay. So that's the story I wanted it to come out, because you were not dependent on the 150,000. You were already doing stuff, various different stuff, and you are already coming, and you would have still started without the money, right? And
but the money helps. The money helps.
Yeah, of course. So I think entrepreneurs, or even the university early stage entrepreneurs should do is to do what you have done, do other stuff, and try to organically raise money. If you don't get government funding, it's still fine. you go ahead and build and gain traction, right?
Definitely,
So
definitely.
sure. And yeah, so tell us about Slurp and how did the growth of that? I mean, now you say you've got 10 million and you're building
Mm-hmm.
it and getting more and more of these, what do you call it, retailers, right? These food
Mm-hmm.
F&B retailers to get on board. How do you approach them? What happens? How do you grow that segment of the market? And what's the plan moving forward? And now all
Mm-hmm.
these F&B outlets are closed during the pandemic. They have their own chaos. Tell us
Definitely.
about that. What's going on with that?
Sure, sure. When we first started Slurp, it was a skunk work. Skunk work meaning just a weekend project that Calvin worked on, and then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then we loved it, and then we decided to fund it for a few years. In fact, Terato
Mm-hmm.
funded the business until 2017,
Mm-hmm.
until we raised some funding back then.
Mm-hmm.
so so yeah, but the challenge, right? The challenge, I think, there's two key lessons here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but how we were able to grow that business very quickly in the early days is we were able to identify the right sales hire lah. We had a
Mm-hmm.
really strong sales guy when it first started. We had a product which was not very good then, but our
Mm-hmm.
first sales guy was able to close 20, 30 outlets within a month, right? And the product
Wow.
was very very buggy but then, but he was just an amazing sales guy. So what we
Ah.
did was we go straight to market, and then this guy are able to sell. So if any user have issue, Calvin would go to the outlet and fix it on the spot. And if another client has an issue, he would be going around town fixing issues on the fly, right? So that's how we were able to grow. I think very quickly within less than a year or less than 6 months, we have about 100 customers, and by the by the second year of operation, we had about 500 customers already using the solution. So I think the key was first we have a very strong sales guy. Second of all was the team, Calvin and the guy that was doing sale that time, Jason. They were very, whenever the customer has feedback, right? They don't discount this feedback. They were like, okay, you have issues. I'll go over and fix this issue for you. So
Wow.
we were able to neutralize a lot of their concerns that they have about the software in the early days very quickly, right? So people back then were using this legacy point of sale system, which were very very old, but have a lot of features. So our solution was modern looking but don't have as many features. So what we do is every day we'll just add new features, where it comes to a point one day where whatever features any restaurant owner wants is already there in the software. So that's how we were able to neutralize a lot of what we say the issue in the software. So first, a good sales team, and then work with the customer, listen to the feedback, neutralize the competition that you have in the market. Those are the key things that we look at. And in terms of our merchants now, of course, they were very hard hit. We lost quite a few hundred merchants last year, a few hundred customers. They had to shut down the business for good because of the pandemic. It's been very painful for us. For us, we've been trying to help out. We reduced the fees. We gave away the software for free to those who couldn't pay it. We also allow those that if you don't, if you wanted to go and come back to the restaurant business one day, just let me know. We'll still have your data in the server, right? So you can just kickstart the business immediately. So so as a tech company, there's also a limit on what we can do. We do try to help them with ordering system and things like that, but we did see that some of our customers, the sale were down more than 95%, right? They tried to take even online orders, delivery orders. Even by doing that, sometimes it costs more for them to operate the business, so they rather close it down. Yeah.
So are
So
there a lot of, sorry, go on.
yeah. So I think this kind of problem, I mean, sometimes a problem is also beyond you to solve, right? I think that's what we
Mm.
as entrepreneur need to know as well, especially if you have limited resources. You can try to do what you can, but sometimes you cannot go and fix every problem as well. That's the thing that I realized, that we try our best, but sometimes our best uh, is not able to solve whatever problem that's critical to them at the moment.
Yeah. So Reza, I don't want to be reactive and ask just about your merchants right now, but I will come to that later. But it looks to me from your story that you've picked, you are very good at picking the right kind of people to grow your business, like Calvin, like Jason, your sales guy who are, I mean, you seem to be having a powerhouse in your team. How do you do that? How do you pick the right people? Where do you find them? How do they get magnetized to you?
Uh, for us, I think the most important thing I think was the key hire, right? For us, one of our first major hire, even for Trato last time was we had a very good tech guy, so Calvin. So
Mhm.
we had Calvin, and Calvin has been amazing. Has been instrumental for Trato, and also has been instrumental for Slurp as well. And Jason is Calvin's friend, so Jason came in via Calvin. But then just because we have the top guy is very good, the leadership is good, so people will just come and flock to you lah. For example, people know us for developing very high quality application. So even now, during internship period, at times we receive 300, 400 resumes, although we only have 5 internship position open, right? So yeah, so people, so have been fortunate to be able to pick who we want to hire as interns. I mean, that's the key lah. We might not be able to hire good senior hire, but then to hire junior developers and things like that, we have been able to do that quite well since we first started.
Reza, I can't help it. As Confucius
Mm.
says, when you see an opportunity, jump in with both feet. So
Mm.
please give priority to APIT students or APU students when they apply to do your internship. And I
Mm.
would also like to take the opportunity to invite Kelvin and you to come by and look at our students when they start building, give them your mentorship. It's like giving back. Tell Calvin, give back to his alma mater, if whenever he has the time lah, bukan sekarang kan. Whenever he has the time.
All
Okay,
right, all
I
right.
just ambil peluang je. Okay, so so
All right,
tell
all
us
right.
about, yeah. So are there a lot of restaurants or F&B outlets that are closing down? And how does the outlook, how does it look now? What does the outlook
If you
look
look at
like?
data, right? Yeah, if you look at data, if they just depend on dine-in, not dine-in takeaways, without any ordering system, they just depend on foot traffic. A lot of them, the sales are down 90-95%.
Mhm.
So those who can supplement with online orders, they might be able to hit about max of about 30-40% of normal volume just to sustain operation. So it's been uh, it's been challenging, right? So for these retailers, we have worked with a lot of restaurant owners trying to figure out how best they can resolve this, uh, but of course, as I said, you as a human being, you have your limits. I don't think we can go and resolve every problem, right? But we are always talking to our customers, looking at what best way we can go to help them, to support them in these trying times lah. That's what we're trying
Yeah.
to do. But
So,
the
but
solution, there's just no silver bullet for this. I mean, it's
no, no, no.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, so your revenues were dependent on uh, POS systems on F&B outlets. F&B outlets are affected. Now your revenues will be affected. And your revenues are affected. So you have a pressure on your bottom line. How are
Mhm.
you reinventing yourself? How are you what do you see ahead as an entrepreneur? How are you creating your own future?
Sure. For us, basically, we were fortunate to be able to look at another segment, just in 2018. So that just to share a story, in 2017 we raised the money from a VC, and then
Oh,
by 2018 we ran out of the
VC from
money, and
where?
then local Malaysia VC, and then we tried
Okay.
to get the follow up round, but then they say difficult lah. I don't think they want to support us anymore, right?
Uh,
So it was a challenging time then. So, but somehow, as luck has it, we I went to an open house by a JLC, Petronas, right? And then they were saying that, hey, they were looking for a point of sale system. So I told them, yeah, I can go and see you after a year. I can build a point of sale for you better than what you have right now. And Yeah, and Alhamdulillah, within Raya was what? Raya was May.
May.
May, I think back then 2017 was in May, and then in August they reached out to us and say that, hey, we really want you to do a POC for point of sale, but you have to do this for free. But by then, by August 2018, August 2018, we only have 100,000 left in the bank, right? So we have no more cash left. And our burn rate back then was about 150,000. So
Oh, done. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so we
Okay.
don't have cash. So they said that, okay, can you do a POC for us for about 4 months? If we like it, we're gonna award this to the contract, right? So we got the offer letter. We go to our investor and tell them, hey, would you mind giving us some runway for the next few months? They said no. I think you're better off refinancing your house. So that's what I did. I
Oh,
refinanced the house, and we were able to we were able to get other investor to buy back the stake from the investor lah. So because we just needed someone who could support us to move forward. So basically, the founders took a loan to pay back the investor. So right now the company is about owned 95% by the founders lah.
good.
So and fortunately, the POC went well, and we got the contract in 2018. So that was our lifeline till then lah.
Wow. So
Yeah,
this
our
contract
lifeline
is
till
for
then.
what? POC for the what? All their Petronas stations or what?
Yeah, for all the Petronas station.
All in Malaysia.
Yeah, all in Malaysia, and that's been the
Wow.
business that's been growing for us. We have had interest from across the region, even the United States. So that's why recently we are raising funding, having been in the states for quite a while, right? A graduate of a US university, and the temptation to go back is there lah. So we
Of
wanted
course,
to.
Oklahoma,
That's why we
no
wanted
less.
to.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
wanted to explore how we can. Yeah, we have interest, even quite a bit of interest in the states for our software right now. So we wanted to see how we can expand the business to that market by early next year.
So you're not really badly hit at all with all the Petronas stations are working. This should have turned you into your company's revenues to push it up to the stratosphere.
Yeah, that's why our revenue in 2019 was about what 2018 in 2019 we were about 2 million. Now we are 5 times more than that.
Okay, okay. And this is coming from the Petronas stations and all those kind of stuff.
Correct. We still have
Yeah.
our F&B business is still there as well.
Okay.
But we were fortunate to have been able to diversify early lah. I think that's yeah. I think only when you're desperate you can go and do that, right? So if I were
Desperate,
comfortable with
yes.
my F&B business, I don't think
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and say, hey, doing this point station, petrol station business is difficult. Maybe it's something I don't want to do. But for us, we're
Yeah.
desperate. We have no other way, right? We have to do this or else we die.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this part about being desperate, being pushed to the corner, being pushed against the wall, how we are fighting back as entrepreneurs, Reza. Do you see that in the young people of today? Do you see that kind of commitment in wanting to build mati nak buat je? Do you see that kind of stuff in the young people today?
Sure. I've also been fortunate to be able to meet a lot of young aspiring entrepreneurs, young technical
Mm,
talent, young business talent. So a
mm.
lot of them, I've been fortunate to be able to invest in a few of them. So I see they are still very, very. If you take your time, you'll be able to find those who are very driven, those who really just want to
Yeah.
build businesses lah. Those are still around because compared to before, right, Dash? I think if you look at our situation in the early 2000 or the 2000 or 2010, there was a lot of government funding and program back then, right? But I think the last 4 or 5 years it has reduced quite a bit, especially for early stage entrepreneur. So
Yeah.
a lot of these entrepreneurs now, they are really bootstrapped. They just depend on network from Twitter. They start small and we're able to grow it big. So it's interesting. It's a different cohort. They work differently than we do last time. So
That's right.
I felt like the spirit is still there, but what's lacking is, of course, for them access to fund lah, right? Because a lot of them they're not quite in tech. They don't have a strong tech background, so the business that they build, although it can make a decent size of revenue, but they were not able to raise funding and create the moat or to defend the business lah.
Yeah, I can see, because like even when I started, it started, although it started in 1994, 95, 19, went through the crisis in 1997, another tech bubble burst in year 2000, and then subsequently so many recessions and crises, but we just be resilient and we just push back, go on and build, right? And so what is your plan so tell us about this pitch in and why you are raising funding now, and because since you have revenues coming in, what are you building moving forward? What is this? Why have you gone back to crowdfunding and not gone and seen a VC? And what is a scalable model that you're building? Just if you can share some of these stories, would be great, Reza, if that's okay.
Sure. So we decided to. I think we like to be able to control our destiny better, right? Because we've
Yes.
experienced it last time. We needed the cash, and then the response was, "You can go and refinance your house, lah." It's not. I don't think, because the problem is we had other offers from another lender willing to lend us the fund, right? So, but then as part of the reserve matter, the VC would have to sign it, but they refused. So
Okay.
we had no other option to look for another lender who's willing to lend the founders money to buy back the
Shares.
stake, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had so having that experience make us believe that we want to control the destiny better.
Sure.
So running an ECF campaign enable us to have a term which is equal, right? Whatever term we have as an ordinary shareholder, as a founder, all these retail investors would have the same term as well. So no one has any preference right over another. And we wanted evangelists of the product, right? So
yes.
yeah, that's another good value add. So we went to do pre-live I would say the last 3 weeks. We have had over 100.
Oh, this recently, just 3 weeks. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
No
just
wonder
3 weeks.
I
We're going
couldn't get you.
pre-live.
You have been so busy.
Yeah. I haven't gone live, right? But we have been.
Yeah.
We've been going this pre-live. Even pre-live, we have 100, close to over 100 interested, and like, but so far from the 100, about 70 to 80 has pledged their money lah. So we did not expect this response from retail investors. So that makes us very happy lah. I have a lot of the guys that put in money are guys I don't even know, but they added me
No,
on
that's
LinkedIn and
right.
say that, Reza, keep it up, love the business, let's grow this together. So it's interesting. It's interesting because with if you talk to VCs, right, for them to do due diligence and all that, they would take them months to do this. But all these retail investors look at what we do and they put in money within just days, right? So
Days. Yeah.
yeah.
How much
So
are you? How much are you raising, Reza?
we wanted to raise 3.5. I think our pre-live we should be more than 1 million already. So
Okay.
so after we go live, we hope to hit about 3.5 million in
3.5 million. I'll keep a lookout.
Yeah.
I'll keep a lookout. To all the lecturers and academics here, you should invest in Reza. He's got your student, APU student. And and start investing in tech startups like this. And it is low risk. I think what's the smallest size of the ticket? 10,000? No,
2,000,
1,000.
2,400.
2,000. Yeah, 2,000 ringgit. Learn how to invest. And Pitchin is a very credible platform. Sam and Cash are running a nice tight ship. I think there's a question coming. Dr. Janita, you can let us. Anusha is asking, what is the one thing you find to be true about entrepreneurship that most people would disagree with?
One thing you find true about entrepreneurship,
but other people will disagree.
It's very, very It's very, very hard, lah, right? As I have said early on, if I could have had the option to work a job that I wanted, I would have done that, lah. There are easier way to make money than becoming an entrepreneur. So yeah. So people might not
Well,
believe it. People think it's easy, right? But I've had my fair of ups and down. I've had a time where I had to ask the wife to I had to call her from a public phone or borrow someone phone. Hey, can you send me 50 ringgit to my bank account? I have none, right? So this happened as recent as 2017. It happened a few times across uh, doing business the last 13, 14 years. So it's not easy. It's not good for you. I gained so many kilos being in business. Dash is different. He looks amazing now. I don't know how to do it, but then it's stressful and it's not as sexy as they say it lah. But doing a business has its reward once you have hit it. For us, for us right now, I think we are at a fairly stable phase. We wanted to look at how we can uh, we would be able to maintain to run the business at the long term lah. And but also while growing the business, being at this age, I'm close to 40 now. I wanted to look at how I can reduce my stress level as well. Try to putting a lot more priority into health lah right now.
yeah, that's good. You
Yeah.
don't look 40, man. You look like you are just 30 or something. Hi, Anusha, did Reza answer your question? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very good question. One thing about entrepreneurship that you think that other people would disagree. If you asked me
Mhm.
that question, I would say that there are no rule books. Yeah, there are no rule books. There are a lot of models, but you have to just do it as you go along. And tell us, there's another question. Were there any challenge in the initial stage when you worked with your co-founder? What has been keeping you both motivated from time to time? By Ray Chow. Really nice question.
Any challenges working with the co-founders? For me, amazing. There have been none, right? So I let him
Mhm.
handle the tech. He has 100% say on what the tech is, and I'm able to run the business, and he don't bother as long as we are able to, as we have cash in the bank. He don't bother me that much, lah. So yeah, it's been a great synergy between us. We have had amazing tech for the business, and our business has sustained for quite a while now. Yeah.
I can believe that you will have minimal or almost no conflicts or anything with your any co-founders or anyone, because look, since the time you came on air till now, you have spoken about all your people who have helped you, whether it's Jason or whether it's Calvin, your team, and how your team is working together. As a true leader, you have given credit to everyone. And you didn't say it's all my work. It's all I'm the one who did it. I had a great sales guy. He went out there and got those things done. I have Calvin who's building those kind of stuff. I think that's a great example of a good leader, Reza. And it's very admirable that you're very humble in doing that. You are a visionary in building the businesses that you have built. At the same time, you are also very humble. So yeah,
Humble, maybe not so much lah. I get cocky at times, right? So, but
no,
I love my team to death lah. That's it. Yeah. I
no, but
protect them over
that
clients. Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I think cockiness, as you even mentioned this is the second time you're mentioning earlier,
Mhm.
when you have 5 million, you said you were cocky. That cockiness is different. So tell us about that cockiness. Why should entrepreneurs have certain level of that chutzpah, they call it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure, sure. I think as an entrepreneur, a lot of times we know a lot more than a lot of people do, right? I mean, let's
Yeah.
say for us having been in retail technology, point of sale, I know a lot more about this specific part of business, right? I might not know about
Mm-hmm.
other businesses, ride
Mm-hmm.
sharing, third
Mm-hmm.
party food delivery, all that. But point
Mm-hmm.
of sale, ask me anything, I know this
Mm-hmm.
business really well. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, another reason that we don't want to work with we don't want to work with a lot of VCs now, right? These are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
young kids, the analysts, young kids wet behind the ears, and then you talk to them, and then they would just ask and question and just tell you that you're doing things wrong, right? Even
Mm-hmm.
while in the early stage of just wanting to invest in your business. So
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't like people to judge me when you don't know me, right? So I get cocky when people think they know more than me at this
Okay,
specific
okay,
area, right? In the point of sale, retail tech
yeah.
space, I know a lot more than you do. So don't go and question my assumption and think
Mm-hmm.
that I have no idea what I'm doing, right? So yeah, of course, just in that specific area. Other part of business where people know really well, I work with a lot of mentors. I work with a lot of advisors that's giving me advice all the time. But for me, an entrepreneur need to be cocky at the area they know best, right? You have to defend your idea to death. If you know that idea, that whatever thing that you're doing uh, is is worthwhile, you should defend it to death. I believe in that. I believe in that. I've get into trouble with politicians. I've get in trouble with senior leaderships of the country, right? Because I just believe in something, and I don't think they are thinking uh, correctly at the right time, lah.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. I want you to share what do you call that? Some lessons from VCs later. Joginder Singh is asking, some people are sensitive to stress. What is your advice on learning to manage stress by budding entrepreneurs?
Sure, sure. I think stress, you cannot avoid stress, especially in the early stage of running a business. But these days, I'm able to have such amazing business analysts, right? I have amazing project managers, in which a lot of our client engagement now, I would just see that client maybe once or twice a year, but the rest of the time, all the issues, all the nitty gritty, that will be handled by the team. So that's how I've been able to reduce my stress. I've been able to focus more on growing the business, looking at what's next, building the network, not so much on the operation lah. That's one thing that I've been able to reduce the stress by quite a lot. Uh, and of course, money is another thing that causes a lot of stress. So if you're an entrepreneur, you have to figure out how to do the most using the less amount of money and resources, right? If you can learn to do that, you would do well as well. uh, and of course, for me, a lot of time, I am being an entrepreneur, you are in control of your schedule. That's the important thing. So if people are saying that unless they are dash and want to have a call at 6, I'll say no lah, I don't do call at 6, right? So I set my schedule.
Thank
I
you,
want to
thank
do a
you,
call
thank
at
you.
10. I only limit my Zoom call to about 3 a day. I only will respond, and I don't have time for you. I don't just go and accommodate people unnecessarily lah. So I say a lot of no's to requests as well. I don't say a lot of yeses this day. It kept me calm, and I have a lower expectation on a lot of things now lah. So not lower expectation on products, but sometimes you don't have a high expectation, too high expectation on things which are beyond your control. So yeah, so those are some of the things that I do to reduce the stress these days.
That's a very, very sound advice. Saying more no's than yeses and choosing your priorities. Interesting. I will come to that.
Mhm.
What's the advice can you give to a student who wishes to become a great entrepreneur that has a bit of knowledge but can't find what to do? Lizzie
For
Joffrey.
me, yeah, there's a lot of knowledge out there, right? I think amazingly, places like Twitter or Reddit is a great place to find information these days. Information, uh, I believe that new ideas are not being formed on TikTok or Facebook. Once it's on TikTok, is the same of is once it's on TikTok, it's like that content, that idea has reached the masses. It has keluar TV 1, right? So if you want to
Ada ke?
look for
TV 1
newly,
ada lagi.
I have no idea. I don't watch TV 1 anymore, right? But then you all these newly formed ideas, right? That even crypto or blockchain or things like that, you can find them, a lot of them on Reddit, a lot of thought leaders on Twitter, a lot of anonymous account, which are very, which has very very interesting point of view on Reddit. Of so this is where you find good idea these days. I'm a believer in these two platforms now, Twitter and Reddit for ideas. Even if you realize recently, I think early of this year, people on Reddit were able to pump the price of GameStop, right, from $10 to about $400. It just started from a forum that was, and they were able to start a movement to do that. So, so yeah. So I'm these days I'm thankful to Reddit for a lot of ideas. Yeah.
What's your advice on raising money? What's your advice about VCs, and when should entrepreneurs even think about it? Or there's a huge school of thought that says that if you can, don't have to raise money from VCs, don't raise. What are your thoughts on that?
Sure, sure. I think VC is not for everyone, right? The VC funding is only those who could create a multi-million dollar business. A business that would go to a trade sale, something that would generate 10 times return for your investors, right? So that is the problem with the VC model that a lot of people don't understand. I have no issue about VCs, but then the problem with the VC model is not with the VCs, right? The problem is with the entrepreneur, right? You take the money, and the VCs is expecting a 10 times return from you. So you are under a lot of pressure to deliver a 10 times return to your customers, right? In which, if you are running the business on your own, making a 3-4 times return with a reduced level of stress, and not that much leverage, can also make you happy, right? I mean, take if you take money from VC, in the end you might have a 10% of 100 million business, right? That's possible. But if you were to have 100% of a 10 million business, is also the same thing of building a business that makes 100 million, but you only have a 10% share, but you cannot call the shots anymore. But if you run a 10 million business, but you can still call the shots and do things as you want, why not? So yeah, from my end, VC funding is not for everyone, and even the fact in the town is, I'm not sure. It maybe one whole year in Malaysia, we created maybe 50,000 businesses. I would say maybe, I'm not sure, but then VC funded businesses maybe less than 100 a year. So if you think that you want to go and raise money from VC, that has reduced your idea to be successful very early on, right? Because only 100 out of 50,000 get VC funding every year, but maybe from the 50,000 entrepreneur, 25,000 are able to get bank funding or things like that. So yeah, so I think the VC model works for certain business, but not for a lot of business. Not a lot of business need VC funding, unless of course you have a good team that can execute and do that 10x, and also it's important for you to have a bit of pedigree and polish lah to be able to play that game as well. Management consultant experience and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ahmad, Awad has asked the question: which industry in tech do you think there's a huge gap for new entrepreneurs to fill for their innovation?
Sure. I might sound like a broken record here, but I think there's a lot of opportunity in the space of blockchain, decentralization, peer-to-peer, trustless. There is that excites me the most right now, right? So let's say if you want to go and build food delivery app right now, maybe that was hot 10 years ago. You want to do ride sharing maybe 10 years ago. That was the wave that you can ride if you started 10 years ago. A lot of and even a lot of the entrepreneurs that go into the logistics space 5 years ago, just because they were in the right space, they will do really well, right? A lot of people that started in the certain business that was right, they were riding the wave at the right time, they will do really well. But now I think the best industry that you can go into is look at opportunity in crypto, in blockchain. I'm putting my bet in that space right now. Yeah.
Wow. So are you going to do anything in that space, Reza? Are you going to build anything around that?
That's the plan. I've been looking at that. I'm not a crypto native. I'm a crypto immigrant. Just recently dabble. I think mid of last year during the pandemic, when we don't have much to do, we go and buy coins, right? So I just started the middle of last year, but it's not so much about trading and making money from cryptocurrency, but it's just the whole concept and the whole community is so amazing. It reminds me like the early days when we
Mm-hmm.
developed iPhone app in
Mm-hmm.
2008. You go into conferences in
Mm-hmm.
Moscone, in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
You get to talk with senior Apple leadership. You get to talk with senior Apple engineers. You get to talk to senior developers at whatever company
Mm-hmm.
you want to talk to, right? You want to talk to
Mm-hmm.
Mojang back then, you get to talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Mm-hmm.
felt like that in crypto right now. It's still very early
Mm-hmm.
stage.
I see. Okay.
Mhm.
So, so that is something that you are looking at to build further. What's your general advice? Currently, a lot of the students, whether it's in Asia Pacific University, all the universities, they're all working, studying from home, or they are not at
Mhm.
campus. They are all over the place, and some of them are very interested to build uh, about entrepreneurship, but they're not sure because they can't meet people, they can't talk to them, they whatever. What's your
Mhm.
sort of your advice to them? Should they just go on and push along and start? Like we earlier said, during crisis is when people innovate, right? Or what are your thoughts on those things?
Sure. As I said early on, you can engage a lot of thought leaders, industry leaders on Twitter, on Reddit. That's the place to go to start these days, right? Uh,
Yeah,
but first you must have what we call, I believe, I forgot who said this, but you must have an infatuation with a problem, uh, and try to find a solution for that problem that you most passionate of lah.
yeah.
Uh, but and try and find the solution on Reddit. I cannot. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the easiest way for student these days. It's a wealth of knowledge in there. Discord, Reddit, communities. Yeah.
There is a question that has come to me, but it's not being up here. Is there's a request for you to explain Slurp and how it works. Do you want to give a little bit of time and tell us how Slurp works for
Sure,
for the
sure,
audience generally?
sure. In terms of Slurp, is a point of sale system. So we
What
help
is a
business
point of
owner.
what is a there is some people want to understand all these
Uh,
terms. So for some of the audience, you may want to explain point of sale. Give us some kind of things, and explain that so that they understand as well.
Sure, sure. So a point of sale is something that help runs a business operation. So if you go to a petrol station, you go inside,
Mm.
you give money to the cashier enters, key in the data into that terminal. That terminal is called a point of sale. It helps them run the
Ah,
business. It helps them uh, capture the transaction data. It helps them see the payment. It helps them order inventories and all that. So point of sale is basically a brain of a retail operation. That's what they do. So it's beyond capturing transaction, just beyond just a calculator. It helps you with running the whole business, right? Even your
that's
staff will
right.
key in their attendance and all that from the point of sale. Because for a business, for you to start a business, the most basic computer that you could have to help you run operation, you must have at least the point of sale. Then you have your payment terminal, and then you have inventory system and all that. But a point of sale is the most basic data collection terminal that you must have in a retail business.
So I hope that is clear to someone who asked me that question. So,
Mhm.
do you have competitors in the space? I'm sure you do. And how are you differentiating yourself from the competitors? And I mean, now you've cornered the Petronas market, so you're very much, very comfortable space you are in.
Sure. There is a lot of competitor. When we first started in 2014 until 2017, there were only about 3 or 4 players.
Uh huh.
Now,
Hmm.
easily cloud point of sale in Malaysia alone, there's 30, and then you have a lot more foreign player coming into the market as well. So
Hmm.
it's a very very competitive. It's a very very competitive market now. So you have one of the more prominent ones, a local startup as well. I think StoreHub is a very well known a local Malaysian company as well. That's in the point of sale space. You have Zilnex. based in Penang, a very well-known point of sale player as well.
Yeah.
So Malaysia has always had a good point of sale player lah. Even back then in the old days, you had the guys like Kuskapi and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very competitive market. But when I first started about 6 years ago, that space they were nobody that was doing a
Mm-hmm.
tablet-based tablet, even cloud point of sale. They were no one doing at the point in
Mm.
time. So that was a sweet spot when we wanted to go in.
You are one of the pioneers lah, in
Correct,
doing
correct,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, are you in touch with the startup ecosystem, the entrepreneurship ecosystem? Do you contribute? Do you work with anybody in the ecosystem to support, or to mentor, or to guide any entrepreneurs? How do you have time to to do that? And what are your observations of the Malaysian startup ecosystem now?
I do a small investment for a lot of young entrepreneurs these days. In fact, this year I
Okay.
did about two different deals.
Mm-hmm.
Just very small investment amount just to get them up and running. One of the business been able to grow significantly. So very proud of that. And then I've also had I post a lot of Malaysian entrepreneurial meme on Twitter. People like that a lot. So I have like what
Oh,
close to 11,000 followers on Twitter that enjoys
oh.
all kind of posting I
So
do, all kind of meme. Yeah.
What's your Twitter handle, man?
Reza Razali, Razali.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, people enjoy that quite a bit. I engage people through there, and I also am part of this group called Captain. Is a group of about 50 entrepreneurs from various sectors in Malaysia. So it acts like a support group lah. In fact, when it first started the pandemic last year, that group was the busiest. Everyone was sharing what Excel sheet they were using to optimize the operation, what options are available, how do you, what's the best way to, if you want to scale down and let go of your employees, how do you do that, right? So we talked about a lot of stuff, even when times were very hard last year. Even back then,
Mhm.
we had daily pillow talk session back then. Every night at 12, we all go into Zoom and talk with each other, support each other. Uh, so yeah, so that is how I connect with peers in the ecosystem now. Just via Twitter and various support groups that I've been active in the last 1 year.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
this is Captain. I want to know about Captain a bit more, if it's okay to
Mhm.
share. Would you
Sure,
agree
sure.
that if a business reply too much on or rely too much on customer,
Mhm.
risk is to on one single customer, of course. Yes. Okay.
Sure, we still have our F&B business. We have still
Mm-hmm.
over 1,000 plus customers. So we
Mm-hmm.
still have that, and we have interest from across the region for our solution as well. So in fact, we always wanted to expand and go elsewhere the last 2 years, but we all know what happened, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just challenging how you want to grow a business. Not challenging. I think we're still figuring out steps on how to effectively grow a business via Zoom calls and just LinkedIn these days.
Right.
Mm.
So tell us a little bit about Captain. Is a WhatsApp group or something?
Yeah. It was actually a group. A few of us set up. I think it was.
Uh-huh.
I founded the group with Nazrov
Oh,
of
so you
Bilkis.
founded. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
it was more like a group to do gossip, right? So we just gossip with
Yeah.
each other lah back then.
Okay.
So but of course, another reason we started the group was back then in 2017 or 16. Basically, uh, the ecosystem, there was not much a lot of activity going back then lah. Somehow in 2016, 2017, right?
Oh.
So
Hmm.
we decided uh, to just have a group to do engagement with a lot of what we call initially it started as a group to engage policymaker lah. So
Hmm.
we go to Mara, we go to SME Corp, we go to uh, various ministries to engage the policymaker.
Hmm.
Of course, they come and listen and talk to you, but we don't see much impact in that. But eventually, what it turned out was it became more of a support group lah. So if anyone are looking for funding, anyone want to talk to a certain VC, anyone wants to know if this VC they're taking money, is this guys okay, not okay? So we share. We talk about that in the group, right? I mean not. So we're able to talk freely among fairly close peers lah. And back then, before the pandemic, we have, if anyone raise funding or whatever, we go and celebrate and have a kambing party, right? So we go and have lamb barbecue. Depends on how much you raise. If you raise a lot, you go and barbecue a few lamb lah. If you raise a small amount, one lamb is sufficient. So
Yeah.
and that was the activity that we had with the group the last I would say the last 3 years lah. It's very casual support group, no structure, no leader. So I think that way forward, this kind of organization would flourish a lot more. Something that has no structure, impromptu, decentralized. Yeah.
So it's very interesting because I think this kind of loose groups, networking groups are very supportive and, like no structure and, it provides a kind of impetus for people to ask for advice. This is something I'm trying to do with APU or wherever I go. Students should set up their own clubs, like entrepreneurship clubs or whatever work. I mean, those things will have structure, but, where they can peer-to-peer have conversations on those kind of stuff, right? And do that. So Reza, if you have advice for our policymakers, our powers that be, to support how they can support entrepreneurs, the early stage entrepreneurs out there in the ecosystem, what are they doing right, what are they not doing right, how is it happening now with everybody shutting down, closing down, what's happening to our early stage startups?
Sure. I think what's needed is I've written a few articles. I've been on TV. No one seemed to bother, right? No one has reached out whatever I did the last 3 years. Yeah. So
tell us what you've done the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Blow your horn, please.
Yeah. So, but I believe that they all need to focus on the talent, lah, right? We hub of creating a unicorn here in Malaysia, but we look at the kind of talent we have, right? I'm not sure how many graduate do API churn out a year, but I assume our university graduate we produce about maybe 100,000 graduates a year, just a bit more. Maybe computer science, maybe only 23,000. And from this 23,000, how many, not computer science, but computer field, right? Maybe 23,000. And from this 23,000, how many of them are programmers, UI, UX designers? And then you have maybe maybe you have programmers, you have maybe less than 10,000, but the demand in the market is definitely going to be much more than that, right? I don't think we can have a vibrant ecosystem just depending on just expecting to have 10,000 software engineers that is going to be part of the ecosystem every single year. So if it was to happen, we need to have a more vibrant talent ecosystem. So what people need to do is they need to invest in the long run, right? What I mean by the long run is we need to see how, in fact, I mean, maybe we need to look at how we can create more than just 10,000 tertiary computer science graduate a year. How can we produce 100,000? Something a lot more strategic. Maybe what kind of program they can run from primary or secondary school to enable that even our SPM levers are able to do codes a certain way. I mean, are fit for employment to do programming and things like that. So that will be something that I look forward to, because I think the biggest challenge right now, I mean, our biggest challenge is we wanted to hire programmers the last 1 year, but every month for interns we have quite a bit, but then we want to look for experienced programmer. We have like 5 vacancies, but every month we might only receive 2-3 resumes for junior developer. Not junior, senior developer, right? So that is very disheartening lah. There's basically we don't have the talent pool lah to create a vibrant ecosystem at the moment.
So do you think the solution is to produce more of them, or produce, is it quality or is it quantity we are talking about? Our universities producing the quality kind of people who are fit for work? What do you,
Mhm. They
So
are,
am I
of course,
hearing?
they are, right?
Yeah.
Of course, they are producing graduates, right? But in terms of why is there no quality? There's no quality because a lot of the graduate has very little, what you say, the fundamental are not strong, lah, right?
Mm,
They have
mm,
no exposure to computer science in secondary school. They go to college. The first year was foundation classes, and then they do 2 years of classes in programming, 1 year of practical or final year project. So the exposure are limited. For example,
mm,
I just like to reflect Calvin, right? Calvin has been programming when he was a little kid, same like
mm.
I did. I
Ah,
was programming since I was 7. Calvin was programming was when he was maybe even younger, right? So when he get to even college, his skills are, I
it's
would say
far
at one
superior.
point, yeah, 100 times better than the next best guy back then, right? In the business. But of course, having Calvin, we're able to have guy who are 5 time, who are just he is only 5 time or 2 time more superior compared to what he was before. He was 100 times superior than the next guy, the next best guy. So but the challenge is, if you want to create a sustainable ecosystem, we need to find way how to create these outliers lah, coders who are 1,000 times better than the next guy, right? We have that, but not many. A lot of these guy that went through the traditional 4 year college, right? If they're not passionate about tech, they will have the degree, but they would not be able uh, to contribute much in the early days of their career, lah, right? Meaning that the company still have to spoon feed and provide a lot of training to the graduates like at times. But I don't deny at times when we find good guys, they are always 100 times better than the other candidate lah, normally.
Reza, the message you've just given is so important and significant. That what you have said, I wish a lot of young people are listening to you. Is just that it's not just the degree that is what it is. It's the degree of your passion prior to getting your credentials from university. From the young age, you are building people in the young age, the talent pool, the interest, the outliers you just mentioned. And you can only get outliers when, even at a young age, they are interested in coding or interested in neuroscience or whatever you may call it. Why are we not doing that? What should we take to create these kind of gems in our education system, where we have a good number of these people who entering university with this passion, with this kind of hunger.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
So
Uh,
how you said that we are just coming there, getting a degree, some of them will have the degree, but they may not be having that passion, or like what Calvin has. He was coding from he was younger, and then he
mm,
get to university. He got getting to university was a rite of passage for him. But a lot of them just at university only, they say, okay lah, I do computer science. So they can't create outliers like what you're saying. But how can we
mhm.
go back to the school level, from school level onwards, create as many of these people, young people who are interested in uh, in these kind of things,
I believe you
interested
could, right?
either. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I believe this can be done. We have some of the components ready, especially when I used to run these Lego programming classes last few years, right?
Yeah.
This is where you
Mm,
identify the smartest of the kids when they were in primary, in secondary, those who has interest in coding at early age. So
mm,
we had bits of pieces on this program, like, but it's not integrated. So for example, all these programming classes, Lego coding classes is only in urban areas, is only in affluent areas in which they would have access to these Lego robots, and then they have access to the teacher that's passionate, and then they need to have a supporting PTA that will support the
mm,
activities, right? So this was something that would only be found in affluent areas. And of course, having been involved in with a lot of the policymakers the last few years, right? When we talk about, okay, you need to start this program from school. So what they do is, okay, we are going to have an event, and in this one day, we are going to train these kids. Every kids get to play Lego for 30 minutes. So okay, that's good for exposure. But what's next? They say,
Mm.
okay, we've done our part. Don't worry, right? So they we have uh, bits of components there, lah, right? So one way is we need to see how we can train large quantities of the student, right? Let's say a school of about 300 standard 5 student, maybe in every classes, I'm sure there's one IT prodigy, right? So in every school, you could easily see at least minimal of 10, 15 tech prodigy that come out from every
Mm.
school that they can that
Mhm.
can go through this specialized program very very early on. And then we need to
Mm.
have a way, we need to have the program, and then we need to have a way to be able to measure them. So every end of the year they have these Lego programs, or they have programming competition or things like that, or they have special clubs that groom them online. uh, this is what is needed at a national level, not just at Taman Tun School or School in Shah Alam or School in Bangi, right? Uh, and not just by having 30-minute class Lego classes for kids in Kuala Pilah. That's not going to work as well. So so yeah. So as I said, there is this component that we have an ecosystem now, but a lot of them look at uh, look at this activity sort of like a CSR, sort of more like a PR, not something long term. They are all looking at these low hanging fruits that they want to solve, but these low hanging fruits are not going to produce you 100,000 programmers in the next 10 years, right?
Very interesting. So I hope you continue to work with policymakers and move the needle there and tell them the right thing. It says, Haslina here says, "Hi Reza, how do you groom these outliers from the university ecosystem?"
From universities, right? Uh, I've seen a few universities how they do it is they've been supporting students from the first year. If you want to create startups, you connect with the mentor. They do the whole mentoring and provide them incubators to as early as first year student. That works quite a bit in some universities. I've seen that happening. The one that I've seen was in UTM. I've seen that happen in UTM. Not sure with other unis in Malaysia. I'm not sure. I haven't observed what APU is doing. Uh, so these are the thing lah that universities could probably do, right? So
Yeah,
in fact, in terms of doing projects, right? Why only expose them to do final year project from the first year? Why can't they
yeah,
start to do something from the first year instead of just
yeah.
the fourth year? These are some of the things. And I was an academic advisor at Utah for a few years before this, for their software engineering program. I enjoyed that quite a bit because whatever feedback that myself and a few a few outside advisor, when we give advice, normally they implement it the next semester. One of it was even in 2017, we're telling them that, hey, you should expose the student how to deploy instances on Amazon, AWS, get partnership program for Alibaba Cloud, get and Digital Ocean and things like that. And they did that. And recently, in the last semester, I was an academic advisor in 2019. I think they like majority of their students were able to secure employment in Singapore even just before they graduate, right? So it was a huge success story lah, because the student just had an amazing foundation before even they get out. Before they even get out, they were hired, right? I even remember Apit years ago saying you had 100% of the graduates were hired after they graduated as well, right? So yeah, so
That's very interesting. Yeah.
mhm.
So you can actually at APU we are putting together a very comprehensive ecosystem, and they like you what you say in Utah. They are also in APU. They are implementing things very fast. Whatever I've advised them,
Mhm.
they've done that. Uh, um, there's someone asking, as your employees are excellent, I believe that outside they got more green grass. So how do you keep them with you? Oh.
Yeah, sure. Of course, right? For me, I'm always happy when an employee move on to greener pastures. That's always amazing. But how we retain our employee these days is, of course, the pay package is competitive. We also give stock options, and also uh, what's important for them, I think, is they are able to work on meaningful work, right? I think the software that
Mm,
they build are used to process billions of transactions every month, so they are able to analyze large big data. It's used by millions, so things that they uh, uh, whatever they build impact the life of million every single month. So I think they find the work that they do with my companies are meaningful, and that is how I think the last few years our retention was has been very high for Slurp. Our tech team that was involved in the project that we built the last 3 years, none of them has left the company since then. So these are the tech team lah. So the key is they want to do meaningful work, and they want to have amazing colleague that can help them level up as well, and we are able to give that in the company now. And beside that, our package is fairly competitive as well.
thank you so much, Reza. It's we have about 4 more minutes left. Thanks for giving us your time so readily, and really enjoyed what you said. Enjoyed your story from the US, from Terato Tech to Slurp. Thanks for explaining the point of sale system. Talked about Calvin, talked about all your people, how about raising money, and also some advice on great input on the VC part, as well as how universities and education system can create these outliers as well, create great technology people. So if you have an advice for you students now who want to become startups, what would your advice be? How do they identify what they need to do, or where do they get started, or they have a lot of doubts now about the pandemic and all that. What's
Mhm.
your brief advice would be?
Sure. I don't think I would have the right advice. Right, times are hard. When I thought when I first started, times were very hard already. Times are harder for
Mhm.
you. But of course, my advice would be that you look at green areas. Right, don't try to uh, look at what the next wave is. You have to do a lot of reading, find the next great wave, and write that. Write that meaning, if you like a certain company, you go and reach out to the CEO on Twitter. You go and email the CEO directly. That might be the way in, right? Because if you try to go and work for large MNC like IBM or Microsoft or things like that, uh, that position is going to be very challenging these days, because even large companies are cutting costs. But if you want to look at joining startups, startup has a lot of option for a lot of talent that wants to join them these days, especially uh, very good startup. So if you wanted to get and join a startup, you must, I believe, you should, when you reach out to these companies, look at the ways of how you can provide them value instead of how you just want to extract value to these companies. I think that's key. And that's if you're looking for employment. But if you want to go and work at startup, do look at what are the exciting opportunities now is lah, right? As I said earlier on, I'm excited about the space of cryptocurrency, blockchain. That excites me a lot. Maybe you should look at that. Even maybe electric vehicle, even in the space of becoming creator economy, becoming meme creator is a job now in the US. That's something that people might want to look at as well. So, because the space that we had before the pandemic is totally vastly different than what we have now. The economy post pandemic would be different than what we had
Different.
before. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so there's a lot of we just have to be pragmatic and look for opportunities. But and of course, you cannot be choosy as well, right? At times like this, whatever you get, just take it. Treat it as a ticket to get you to the next level.
Thank you so much, Reza. Like a true entrepreneur, true tech entrepreneur, you're wearing the Stanford T-shirt. You're in a green environment like Silicon Valley at the back behind you. Thanks again thank you again for your time. You mentioned the magic word reading. They should a lot of young people should read. It increases your intelligence many fold. I have a personal goal. I like to go to sleep smarter than I woke up. Hopefully by reading a little bit here and there. And if there was a billboard and you have one thing to say to everyone, what is that one thing that you will say? And after that, we let you go.
What is that one thing, right?
If there's this
Survive,
huge
right?
billboard,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
mhm,
I'm not
survive.
sure, but if at times like this, make sure you survive another day. I think that's most important, right? Yeah. As long as
Beautiful.
you can survive today, you have the opportunity to fight it tomorrow, right? So that's it.
Fantastic. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Reza. Have a great evening. Enjoy your dinner with your family. Thank you very much again. I'm very honored to have you. And on behalf of the whole team at APU, thank you. Cheers.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed this. Thank you so much. Okay,
Thank
bye
you.
bye.
Thank you. Bye. So, everyone, for those of you who want your certificates, please scan the QR code and enjoy the recordings and have a great evening. Bye bye. Cheers.